give us that space to set landscape. So this is what we're going to do. I need you. I need you to hold it for me. Just hold it.
What?
Hold the phone and the tripod together.
Like this.
Aha, yeah. You're not setting anything here, right?
Let me.
But you're not
I
coming to
wanted
the
to.
base level.
No, I wanted to like make it a full page so that
Fair
whatever
enough.
because of what did they call this thing?
Set everything you need to set so I can. So you are not touching it, you're not shaking it anyhow. Do you understand?
Because of this thing, that's why I do not like. I don't know how to use Safari like that, so that I can close this side so that it can expand the way YouTube normally does. Because if it's a tape it now, it might start touching wherever.
Because it's life, I don't want to really tamper with it like that.
Like I need to just cover it. This is the layout that will work.
You don't want it to cover the.
Like it will not. The video will not show again.
Oh, okay.
If we do that one.
Okay.
Like I need to. Is there a way we can do it that this thing will leave?
You can't leave. You can't leave.
Because we're about to sellotape it.
You can't leave, don't worry.
Okay.
It won't get there. It won't destroy anything. As far as
Before I can
what I want to be sure is you don't need anything.
No,
here.
I'll just wait on my laptop.
Okay. Hold it tight. If it was straight from the phone, yeah, we're not doing YouTube and all that. We're not using StreamYard to be easier. It would have been easier.
Yeah.
Live stream operator.
I want to read.
Even me, I need to use restroom.
I want to first set it now before I now can come back. This place will end. You cannot cover this thing before you think I end with the
I'll cover the base. Hold it, still hold it. We're good now.
We need something that can be able to do this upward shaking. I said we need something that can be able to do this upward. Like the old school.
The layout.
Not even layout, I'm talking about you want to record, you need something that can be able to hold the phone up like this.
No, that's is because, like I said, it's because we're using StreamYard. This is what StreamYard will give us. But if we are streaming directly from the phone, not the app, you know the reason why we're using StreamYard is to be able to connect YouTube and other platforms together. So if it was directly from the phone, it will give us the layouts that we want. Do you understand? Okay. Normally, the guys that use the phone, there's an app that we can still use, but it's paid. It's not free. But are we getting something now? Is it good now?
Hello everyone. We will be starting the event by 12:45 p.m. Apologies. There's been some rains causing traffic, so we're trying to give the rest of our guests a little bit of time to arrive. Apologies, please. We will start in exactly 8 minutes. Thank you.
So is this something you can help with?
I have a dollar or a pound for every time I've said good afternoon today. This is the final good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kenya PLA, and I am the head of the Nigeria office of First Bank UK. Thank you for joining us for our morning show. A little bit about First Bank UK before we dive right in. First Bank UK, can everybody hear me? First Bank UK is a subsidiary of First Bank Nigeria, Africa's oldest bank, founded in 1894. First Bank UK as well is also the pioneer of international banking amongst all Nigerian banks in the UK. We have been in the UK for 43 years now, specializing in trade finance, institutional banking, and private banking. I saw someone's eyes light up when I said 43 years. How long do you think First Bank has been in the UK? So we are the pioneer for international banking. Apologies for the slight delay. So we'll dive right in. Before we start, the management of Marriott Hotel would like to give us a short security briefing for health and safety reasons. So I'll be inviting Ms. Abiodun of Marriott to brief us quickly. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. Welcome to Marriott Hotel. My name is Abiodun of Safety and Security Unit. So this afternoon, I will quickly tip you on what to do should there be emergency while you're here. Of course, we are always very keen about the safety of our guests. That's why we always take our time to educate our guests on what to do, how they can assist us, and also assist themselves in the case of emergency. So therefore, we are all aware that this building is an hotel. So sometimes we do have guests that make use of steam water in their rooms. And if the steam is much, we always don't want to base our assumption on just steam in the guest room. We investigate every cause of alarm to ensure that we are all safe to remain in the building. Therefore, if this alarm persists, there's going to be a voice command that we ask you to please evacuate the building. Please, during this evacuation period, we advise that you have to be calm while doing that, and please ensure that you keep your items. These doors are all the emergency doors. We have 4 here. This door here. We have 4 of this door here. This door, by emergency door, you need to do is push the red bar and off, you are out of the building. So please, when you are outside, make your way to the emergency muster point by the gate, by the main gate. So we have 4 of these doors here. So please, while we are doing this, we need to be calm. If you find your way going out through this side, please make your way towards the left-hand side. Do not go towards this side because we have some fire curtains that may drop during this period and it will cause entrapment. So please, always make your way towards your left-hand side. And our teams will be everywhere to direct you to the appropriate place. And during this period, please remember that we are not going to use the elevators because this floor is the first phase of basement. And all our elevators will go to the surface, which is upper ground, and stay there until the situation is settled. Please do not go towards any elevator. We also advise that you please keep safe your personal items because for privacy's sake, there is no camera in this hall. So please, if you are leaving your items behind, please ensure you are entrusting your items onto someone that you know when you return, you can always retrieve your items without any issue. If you need to make use of the restroom, if you go out through those doors, you go straight towards the staircase. There is a restroom there for both male and female. Left hand side inside is for the ladies. Right hand side inside is for the gentlemen. If you make your way out of these 2 doors, if you go this way behind the lift, behind the elevator here is another restroom for both male and female. Left inside is for the male and right inside is for gentlemen. So please, we beg you, if you see anything that is strange, please always inform us. That's why we always say, we advise that if you see something, please say something. I'll be on this floor here to answer any question, if you need any of our attention, please, I'll be on this floor to attend to you. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't had the opportunity to say welcome to this event. I know my colleague Kemi has done that. But I haven't had the opportunity to say welcome to this event. My name is Abraham Adewale. I'm the head of knowledge First Bank UK. And it is my pleasure to have you guys here. And I say thank you for coming. And thank you for those who actually came on time. I think I hear a little bit telling me that there's a prize for the first person. We managed to capture that person sometime, about 45 minutes ago. The next item.
Today's event will be a showcasing of the property market insights from our property consultants, Daniel Ford, and also legal consultants from Drusis, London as well. It won't be boring. We'll break it down as simple as before I introduce the next speaker, I'd like to know if anyone is purchasing or looking to purchase a UK property for the first time. Is there anyone
you can raise your hand up if you don't have a property and you're looking to purchase? Okay. And you're genuinely here looking for information.
Fantastic. You've come to the right place. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Lekon, our Executive Director of Business Development. He is in charge of implementing and oversight of the bank strategy. When I say the bank, I mean First Bank UK, and he has flown all the way from London.
He's the Executive Director as well.
Please, a round of applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. I think my name is Lekon Adeleko. I must first apologize again because we're supposed to have started this event around 12, but because of the rain, there was a bit of delay from attendees coming in. We profusely apologize, but all the way, I'm happy to see all the lovely faces that are here, and I want to say thank you very much for coming. And for all the invitees, without mentioning names, we promise you that you're going to have a very wonderful exposure there. Now, quickly, let me just do a bit of background for the benefit of some of us that are experiencing or meeting First Bank UK or First Bank Nigeria. When I say experience, you probably have heard the name, but you don't have a relationship with us. I just want to give a bit of background because I'm aware we also have some of our senior leadership that is already here and that will be coming. And if you permit me, I kindly recognize the presence of Mrs. Remi Odolami. Thank you very much. We're also expecting our group managing director, Mr.
More important though is our real estate team, of which my colleague Parveen is a partner. She will introduce that department to you and work there going a bit. Our fourth and final department is what we call private wealth. And that department helps clients preserve and maintain their wealth, succession.
Process, we act for generally yourselves and also First Bank, so you're both our clients. And our objective is to make the whole process from beginning to end as easy and simple as possible. We're on hand all the time. And the objective is that any questions you have, and I always tell my clients as no such thing as a silly question asked, because if you don't ask, you'll regret. So once you've appointed your lawyer, we will then make contact with the seller solicitors. Seller solicitors will send us a pack, which is a contract which sets out the terms of what we've agreed. We will then raise inquiries, apply for searches. There's 3 sets of searches in England and Wales that we have to do as part of your mortgage process. Once we've done that, we will report to you. My objective is to put in layman's terms what the legal jargon is, so you don't have to sit there trying to work out exactly what the land registry title does. Once you've done that, we will then also tell you you must get a survey. Surveys are very important because when you're buying property in England and Wales, what you're doing is you're buying it based on the legal advice that we give you and the advice given by your surveyor on the structural integrity of the property. Once all of that is done, we get to the point, you get your mortgage offer, go to the First Bank, and then what happens is we get to the first main point. The first main point of the purchase process is the exchange of contracts. That sounds exciting, but it's not really. It literally is. We send our contract to the other side, they send their contract to us. The only difference is at that point, you have to pay 10% of the purchase price. Once you've done that, you are legally bound to continue with the purchase. You cannot pull out, you cannot renegotiate, you cannot do anything. You are now bound. If you change your mind, you will lose your 10%. So it takes a long time to get to exchange of contracts, not too long, but long enough in order for you to decide, yes, this is a property I want, yes, I'm prepared to be legally bound by the purchase process. We then set a completion date. The completion date is the date that you actually pay the balance of funds, which is 90%. So between exchange and completion, there's lots to do. First of all, we will be writing to your bank, requesting the drawdown of your mortgage. We will also write to you, send you a cash statement, asking you to send us the
the balance of funds. So on the day of completion, you have all your money, you send it to the seller solicitors, and at that point, we complete and you pick up your keys. For a lot of you, of course, it's an actual investment. So whoever your agents are in the UK that would be collecting your keys for you. There's lots of stuff to do in between, including things like, should I be buying this in my own name? Should I be buying the name of a company? If I buy my own personal name, should it be myself and somebody else? These are all the sort of questions that we would assist with. And we're very fortunate. We have a very healthy, very sophisticated private wealth team that we work really closely with, who will be able to answer those questions for you. So that's the purchase process. Hopefully I've made it simple. Any questions, I can answer those at the end. So now we're going to move on and start with these tax element, which is probably the most exciting bit of it that you really want to know about. So, give me 1 second, please. Right. So when you're buying property, unfortunately in the UK, you can't avoid tax. Tax is, in the UK, not just a UK problem, but we have to pay tax. So the tax that's paid on the purchase of a property is called stamp duty land tax, or abbreviated as SDLT. Now, there's different ways to buy a property. You can buy it as an individual, and you buy a residential property, or you buy it in the name of a company, and the company buying a residential property. Or it could be that you decide not to buy a residential property, which is the dwelling house or the people live in. You might want to buy a commercial property, and that could be an individual or a company buying the property. And there are different rules and regulations in terms of what tax you pay. And that's where we come in. Our job is to say, right, okay, fine, you want to buy this property. Should you be buying in the name of an individual? Should you be buying this in the name of a company? Now, the interesting thing is, there are different levels of tax, and that's what we have to sit down and discuss with you. Do you pay the full amount? Do you pay the surcharge? Do you pay an extra non-UK resident tax? Unfortunately, there's loads of taxes to pay. And how can we best assist in order to legally mitigate the level of tax that you're actually paying? So, let's start with the most basic. Individuals buying a residential property, which I think most of you will be doing. They, this is it, thank you. So this is the SDLT tax that we pay on the purchase of a property by the individual. As you can see, they're tiered, so there's a different percentages to be paid for different amounts. And unfortunately, if it's an investment property, you will be paying tax almost immediately at 5% from 0 to 125. However, if you are buying as a UK resident, the taxes will kick in until you get to 125,000. Over 1 million is a lot more. So if you look at that, so half of the UK residents, the investment property is what you're going to be paying as non-UK residents. There's an additional non-UK resident tax to pay on top. So the maximum amount of the SLT you'll pay is at the last column. Moving on from that, you've got companies purchasing the tax. Now, company sounds good. A lot of people say, I'm going to be buying in the name of the company, but the rate is a lot higher. There are ways to avoid that, and there are ways to mitigate the amount of tax that you pay, and that's our job. And I'll come back to some of those examples that you can do. So as you can see, the level of tax paid by a company is a lot higher. In fact, if you're buying anything over 500,000 in the name of the company, there's a potential to pay 17 to 19% SDLT. However, if it's a property business, which it probably will be for most of you, because you've been letting out the property, and vice versa, there's ways to avoid that too. Okay, then moving on to individuals or companies purchasing non-residential properties. Now, non-residential doesn't mean it has to be an office block, it doesn't mean it has to be a shop. It can actually be a building which is derelict and can't be used as a house because you can't move into it immediately. It can be classified as a non-residential. And the rate of tax you pay is a lot lower. In fact, we'll give you examples in a second. And then moving on to non-resident individuals. So the SDLT residence rate. So if you're a non-UK resident, unfortunately, you almost immediately have to pay the 2% on top. It doesn't actually, it could be even myself and Nigel, if we happen to have been out of the country for 183 days in the last 365 days, we would have to pay UK residents. So we have to ask that question of all of our clients. Avoiding the investment surcharge on resident investments. So the surcharge, 5% surcharge, I mean that hits all of us. In fact, it hit me when I had to recently buy a property as well myself. So that is payable if you own any other property anywhere in the world and it's not going to be your main residence. You have to pay a surcharge of 5%. And it's payable. So the ways to pay, sorry, forgive me, sorry, this is slightly different order. And this is the way we're trying to establish how you don't pay the SDLT surcharge. So I've just mentioned just now, uninhabitable property. And when we mean uninhabitable, I mean it has to be derelict. It can't be something like, oh my gosh, I need to revamp my bathroom. It literally means you can't use the property at all. So you've got gas, no boiler, then you don't pay the higher rate SDLT, you don't pay the 5%. A commercial property, and that could in fact even be if you're buying a shop with a flat above, that's a commercial property, you don't pay the 5% surcharge there. A mixed, if you're buying something that's become quite common, especially in the Middle Eastern clients that we have, where you buy more than one property. If you buy 6 properties, and they have to be worth more than £750,000 each, you actually don't pay surcharge. And in fact, if you buy 6 or more properties, in fact, you make huge savings. So if you move to the next page, these are examples. So for example, if you bought 5 houses, they're all worth £750,000 each, you'll be paying the residential rate of SDLT. Now, if you end up buying 6 houses, the residential rate of tax would be £768,750. But because you're buying 6 houses, it falls out of the residential dwelling SDLT, it falls into commercial rate. You would actually be paying only £214,500. That's actually a saving of more than £500,000. Now, if you buy 8 houses, you're saving £764,000. So significant savings. So a lot of our Middle Eastern clients choose to come and buy properties in bulk, and then they treat them and then make significant savings. And that's something I can discuss when you questions later. Right. So a company buying a property for 500,000. You pay a hefty 17 to 19%. I mean, that's a significant amount, especially when you're using it as an investment property. But there are ways around it. For example, if it is a purely business letting property, then you don't have to pay the resident SLT, you pay the commercial rates. Right. So I think I'll cover tax as much as I possibly can. There are loads of ways for us to assist you in making decisions as to how to buy it, how to hold it, what sort of rate of tax you have to pay, what we can classify it as. So it's not necessarily what the property is, but it's what's used for. One of the most interesting aspects of our firm is that not only do we have an in-house tax accountant who assists a lot of my clients, for example, paying CGT or paying business rates or whatever, we have a tax partner who works very closely with us. So that's the value that we can add, and that's full service for our clients. And that's the property purchase process for me. Nigel?
Thanks, Pompey. Thank you. So, if you are investing in a property in England or London, you will presumably wish to rent it out. And if you do so, then there should be some nice rental income. That's the good news. But rental income on a UK property, I'm afraid, is also taxable, even if the owner has no other connections with the UK. For non-resident owners and landlords, such as potentially yourselves, there is a tax to pay on rental income of 20%. that tax is meant to be collected by either your tenants or your rent agent. And I don't know whether Yemi is going to cover this in his discussion, but it is really important if you have a property abroad, to have a good agent on the ground looking after and maintaining it for you and collecting rent. Certainly in England, that's very important. Now, as the slide says, the deduction can be avoided. Now, that doesn't mean the tax can be avoided, but the deduction by your tenant or your agent of 20% at source can be avoided if there is a registration with our tax authority, the HMRC, and that's known as the non-resident landlord scheme. As I say, the tax at 20% still needs to be paid, but you collect the rent at the gross value, the full value, rather than at 80%, with a deduction having already been made at source. Landlords that receive rental income in the UK that are non-resident will still need to be subject to our self-assessment rules. So you would still need to fill out a tax form and an income form and pay the requisite tax on your rent. If you have structured your purchase via a company and your company owns the property which is worth more than £500,000, I'm afraid there is an added complication in that you would need, or your company would need to file what's known as an ATED, a return for annual tax on envelope property. However, no ATED payment liability normally arises if a property is used exclusively for commercial letting. And I suspect most of the letting arrangements that you might enter into would be commercial lettings, and so if the value of the property is over £500,000, you would hopefully be able to take advantage of that. Could I have the next slide show? So some future events, because properties are bought and sold, and while you're investing, there may come a time where you might need to sell the property, perhaps you're upscaling, perhaps you need to divest yourself of the holding in the UK. Upon a sale, one hopes that you will be selling for more than you purchased, so there should be a capital gain on your property. Hopefully the value has increased. There is a tax charge on the increase. So if you're buying a property for £100,000 and selling some years later for 150, you get taxed on the £50,000 gain. There are deductions against what we call capital gains tax. The rates are shown on the slide. Non-UK residents, individuals that is, pay a rate of 24% capital gains tax. Companies is slightly higher, 25%. However, if you are an individual owning a UK property via a company, you don't always have to sell the property, you can sell the company. Unfortunately, there is very really marginal gains in relation to tax efficiency if you're selling a company as opposed to the property. The tax regimes are pretty similar, so you're going to be paying a similar amount of capital gains tax in relation to a corporate sale, sale of shares rather than property. Sure. Thank you. The last future event that I wanted just to mention very briefly, I'm afraid, is our death. We all come to this, unfortunately, but the point here is to plan ahead. If you have assets in the UK, you should have a UK will. That will help you distribute your wealth efficiently if it's drawn up correctly. So plan ahead. A valid UK will can help you direct the future ownership of your property interests. If you hold the property as what we call joint tenants, so you hold the property maybe with your wife and your husband, and one of you deceases, the property automatically passes to the survivor outside of the inheritance tax regime. So there are tax planning efficiencies to be thought through when entering into a property transaction. How are you going to hold the property? Are you going to hold it jointly with someone else? Are you going to hold it individually or as a company? That can get quite complicated in terms of tax structuring, so that would need some specialist advice. And the last point there, similar tax on death applies if ownership is via a company. There is a deemed transfer of shares when someone deceases, and the direction in which those shares travel will dictate what level of tax is paid. Those shares might be jointly owned with a spouse, in which case it falls outside of the inheritance tax regime. But if you want your shares in your property holding company to be held by another family member or friend, then there will be tax considerations that will need to be thought through very carefully when you're thinking about what you're going to leave behind and who is going to inherit. There is a nil rate band in relation to inheritance tax, so the first £325,000 worth of assets under the UK inheritance tax laws is tax-free, and often property values can well exceed that amount. So there's a lot of thought given in our private wealth office to how to best to structure those property holdings so that upon decease, the property value and the value of the nil rate band is maximised so that there is future protection for wealth for those who inherit. And the inheritance tax rate, I'm afraid, is 40%. Thank you very much. That concludes our little session. If anyone has any questions, then we'll be happy to answer them either now or in the interval. I think there's an interval coming up in a little while. Thank you all very much. Does anyone have any questions, or shall we deal with those later?
Thank you, Joseph Solicitors. Thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Praveen. And another round of applause for Joseph Solicitors. It's good to learn about tax as we grow the world. It's important that we also prepare who takes over from everything we're doing, who takes over our assets, who takes over our properties. So I've learned about the inheritance, what happens after I'm gone. You know, how do I distribute? What do I pay the UK government? I don't want everything to go to the government. I want something to go to the family. So well done, and Nigel, thank you very much. I enjoyed that. Our next speaker needs no introduction. He's been in London for many years. He's closed quite a number of transactions in the property market in London. He's a known fantastic gentleman. If you see anybody with a hat, you probably sort of guess where I'm going. However, the gentleman has closed many more deals than I can imagine. And every time I see him, one good thing about him is that he always has something to challenge you with. In the London property market, Yemi has been excellent. He's been fantastic. He does quite a number of property deals. He deals with a wide range of people. It is my pleasure to introduce Yemi of Daniel Ford.
Good afternoon, Lagos. Let's put some life into this room. Nobody likes hearing about tax. Nigel and Palmer, that was a tough one. My name is CEO of Daniel Ford International. The good news I bring to you is you have to make profit before you pay tax. So bear that in mind. So, Daniel Ford International and NBN Bank UK as it was, and First Bank Nigeria UK now. I must say that from the moment they got the license in 2002, we've been working together. We've done some of the most iconic properties in the UK, funded by NBN and founded by Daniel Ford. So, what is Daniel Ford, or who is Daniel Ford? We've been around now, I've been trading in the UK just under 3 decades. And in one form or the other, Daniel Ford has been running for over 25 years. We are based in King's Cross, London. It's a multi-office organization that has grown organically, mainly through referrals and return business. It's not a one-man business. And what I tell people is that if you me and I died last week, someone will be standing here to speak to you. So it's not a one-man business. We've grown from 4 properties in 2001 to over 850 properties in management, closed in excess of £1 billion in transactions, about 54 employees full-time. And what we do is, you would agree with me that Nigel and Herbert were very official. We break it down to you the way you understand. You leave the room feeling excited to buy a property. And one of our big fast claims now is the fact that we are dealing more with the second generation. So we have families that their children used to pick up their allowance, their check from our offices, 2-3 decades ago. They are now buying. So something must be right about London property to have made it sustainable. We deal with the where, what, and how. What that means is, where do you buy? How do you buy? And what do you buy? We start from the foundation, understand exactly what you're trying to achieve long term. And many families have testimonials to share. I have people calling me from the post club at times that say, Yemi, I have not chopped the last month's rent finished. Another rent has come. But like any business, like any industry, there are not that needs to be on time. And what we do is we're dynamic because the industry itself is dynamic. How do government raise money? You see that they print, they borrow, or they tax. And one of the asset class that is easy to tax is property because it is brick and mortar. So we keep you abreast of what is coming up and help navigate you to safeguard your interest. We don't stop at acquisition. We manage the property, hence the over 850 properties that we manage. We will help you let your property. Increasingly, there are health and safety regulations, changes, with the Glenfell fire incident, there are things that you have to put in place to ensure your property, is fit for purpose. Most of our landlords are cash-rich type pool. So you need someone to ensure that your rent is paid on time. The right documentations are in place, the deposit is held in the right scheme, and that is what we do in the management space. We are not restricted to residential. We do commercial properties as well. From our centrally located office in King's Cross, we consult, we advise, we navigate you to achieve your goal. On the screen, you'll see Ebony Life London. You'll see the beautiful Moabidu insets. And the quote from the Mayor of London saying, "I'm happy to announce that Ebony Life is opening in London shortly." I'm proud to say that Daniel worked on that property. And Mo never saw the property until we sealed the deal, and that is what we do. If you want to put it into context, what that does, we are your eyes. We find the property, we negotiate it for you, we do the snagging for you, we ensure that it meets the intentions you set out to achieve from day one. And we have nowhere to go, A good digression. How did it come about, this roadshow? In 2005, I sent an email to Christy Fashion, who was the executive director, the role they constrained today. And I said, look, I believe we need to go on the road in Lagos. I sent it I sent her the email, she passed it on to Peter Insing, who was the MD then, and they approved it. And we had our first road show at the Echo Hotel in 2006. Since then, we've been on the road with FBN, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and we are here not seeing anyone as a partner. Why the bank has kept the relationship with us is because we cover, we look out for them. There is a development that most Nigerians are familiar with, Beaufort Park. Beaufort Park started in 2004 in College, and there are hundreds and hundreds of properties being built. In 2007, I wrote to First Bank and I said, look, I think you should, reduce your exposure in this place. About 10 years later, they called me to thank me. So the same way we advise our clients, we advise the institution, because we need the institution to be standing. By MBN Bank getting the license in the UK, other banks of Nigerian origin have now come on board. It has given you, the prospective buyers, better options to navigate through, to a better understanding, and I think the wealth of different families have been better enriched over the years. So we deal with developments as well. We deal with a lot of developers, some of the best developers in the UK. We've been on tour with them. And what that means, if you look at Barclay Group, Barclay is a public quoted company in the UK. But what you see is Barclay. The subdivision is there, St. Edward's, St. George's, St. James's, St. William. Because we deal with them and we're on ground, we understand the nuance. We understand the subdivision that is mid-range, the luxurious one, and we're able to tailor you and advise you accordingly. So, because you know a big developer does not mean you get the best deal from them. Because you probably will buy 1, 2, 3 properties through them. We buy hundreds of properties from them every year, and we're able to negotiate the best deal for you. Why London? This is some of the questions we get from clients. Why not South Africa? Why not Dubai? Why not the US? First, everyone here, your house help will not suffer a culture shock in London. Everybody knows there's somewhere called Peckham, there's somewhere called Bond Street, because of the legacy of the empire, the colonial, I don't want to use the word. At a point in time, someone in your nuclear family or extended family would have been educated in the UK. So education is big. Lifestyle, sports. Most Nigerians know more about the English clubs than Imba or Shooting Stars. So those are the easy things that would answer that question, why London? But it goes beyond that. The pound is still one of the currencies, apart from the dollar, that a sovereign can print. So, if France is in trouble, they have to contend with another 24, 26 countries. So, the fact that the pound has kept its strength over the years has really helped a lot of Nigerians. It has helped a lot of our clients to, plan for their retirements, enjoy their retirements. Even if we were not earning money when it was 1-to-1, a lot of the people in this room would remember when it was 150-to-1, 200-to-1, and I can keep going on. I don't even know what it is now. So that's one of the reasons why London. The market liquidity. London is the UK is an island, and it is grossly under. The figure says we need about 100,000 new homes every year to 100,000 new homes every year for 10 years to bridge the gap. I tell people that the unborn child will still buy in London. There's just something about the city of London that everybody wants a piece of it. And London has been able to become a hybrid city where you have period homes, and go to Canary Wharf, you might as well be in Dubai. You know, it's a city that survived 2 World War bombings, but is still very relevant. And it's a city that keeps redefining itself with infrastructure development. Elizabeth Line, which was commissioned about 3 years ago, has basically opened up areas that were otherwise, you know, I call them the armpit of London. You know, areas like Abbeywood are now easily accessible, direct to Heathrow. Reading is about 7 stops to Paddington. You have HS2 coming. What HS2 is going to do is it's going to cut down the travel time from a city like Birmingham to like half. So you can live in Birmingham and work in London. And you know, the further out you go, the more you get for your money. So what we do at Airport is we sit you down, we show you the headlines and the nitty-gritty that is not open to the naked eyes, so that you can take the best decision. So political and regulatory stability, taxation and transaction costs. Regardless of anything, with the UK you are clear on what to pay. You are clear of, and there is exit because there is demand. There is always someone looking at buying the property if it's priced the right way. You know, we dealt with properties, you know, running into millions and millions of pounds, but we don't handle money. All property transactions have to go through solicitors, and that's where those come, you know, they come in. So what that does for you is that they ensure that you're buying from someone that owns the property, so there's no issue of homodile. You know, you are buying from the right owner. You know, you can go to sleep. You know, we are very active at the auction. We go into an auction. The auction room typically is like this room. If you win your bid, you pay 10% on the day. 30 days later, you get your property. Done. You know, so the complexity is not there, especially if you are working with a local professional like that before. Rental yields and occupancy demand. London has become very expensive, and when I have friends from the US come to London, they always say, "Oh, London is pays service charge, not the tenant. So I was being cheeky to my team this morning. I said, would the tenant agree to pay the service charge? And they said, don't go too far, you know. But it just shows you how
proceed to the next speaker, I did get a lot of fun facts apart from the deep learning that I've learned today from you speaking. And I'd also like to share two. In the UK, as much as it looks like a tedious process, property acquisition looks like a tedious process, you will find that the properties that go on offer and within 24 hours they are gone. Which is why the next speaker is important to tell us how to get ready to take hold of such opportunities. Because whatever property you are looking at and admiring, I can assure you many other people are looking at it. Another fun fact about the UK property market is that in the last 30 years, it has actually grown by 400%, despite all the recession and all the economic downturn, Brexit, etc. So it is still a safe and secure jurisdiction to preserve your wealth. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Abraham Adewale. He's our head of mortgages and lending. You see the big title, so you have to be listening attentively. He will take us through how First Bank UK makes the process of property acquisition easy for our diaspora communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you to everybody. You're still seated. It takes a lot of commitment to sit down and listen and digest all of these things. But I want to pass a message that we sincerely appreciate you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Apologies again that we started this, but I want to thank you. I'll start my slides. I'm not a man of slides, many slides, but our story is simple. We've been in the UK for 43 years. I believe that's boundaries and First Bank UK. We're proud to say that we've been there for 43 years. We're the pioneers. We got there first. But what is our commitment? We're committed to, enhancing, fostering very good relationship with our clients. We're not in a rush. Somewhere we've been for 43 years, and we're still forecasting for, another 40, 50, 60 years. It tells you that we're solid, and we're there next time. However, where else are we? I'm sure many people in this room don't know that we're in DRC, Ghana, Gambia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Senegal. In fact, I'm proud to say that we're likely going to be everywhere very soon. Everywhere you turn, you will see First Bank. We're in 10 countries across Africa. 821 business locations, over 8,000 plus staff. Solid bank. We don't. It's just that I don't think we make noise enough, so we don't see these numbers. 1.3 million shareholders and over 9 million clients that we're serving on a constant and daily basis. At First Bank UK, what do we do? Because we're not just here to talk about the property. Of course, this is a property roadshow. This is what we do. We help people to grow their wealth. But what else do we do at First Bank UK? We have a corporate banking team that does structured financial solutions for corporates in Africa. We have an institutional banking team that facilitates trade in Africa and exports and all sorts. Our institutional bank, and we also deal with banks across the whole of Africa. And we're moving to Dubai. We're dealing with banks in Dubai, UAE, and things like that. But the private banking team, we can help you grow your wealth. We have the experience. Our first set of mortgages are going to expire. 15, 16, 17-year mortgages are going to expire. And we're starting a new relationship. Children of our clients are now also buying properties. You heard that from them as well. We have a marketing treasury team. So you have $10 million you leave with us. So those sort of help us to want us to manage it for you and give you returns. That's part of what we do. First Bank, it's a one bank. Same attitude, same staff, same kind of staff everywhere you go. The relationship stays the same. We want it to be a one-stop shop where you come in. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Group CEO of First Bank. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for coming, sir. So we're one bank. First Bank is one bank everywhere you go. We're a one-stop shop. We want it to be the same everywhere you go. And we have just one standard. No double standard. So whatever you get in First Bank in Motion will be the same in Victoria and in Kogi or even in Ibadan. And that's the idea. In private banking, what do? We provide clients with opportunities to invest in global securities, mutual funds, real estate. We offer a range of services, property valuation, everything you need, you can deal with First Bank UK. We will help you with it. We have our solicitors that we brought from London. We have the NFO that are here. The NFO staff are here. First Bank UK staff are here. And we can assist you with anything that you want to ask us. There will be question and answer after this. And then we can have it. So I just thought I'd mention that. Well, in private banking as well, we offer buy-to-let mortgages. You buy a property, you put a tenant in, and you let it out and generate a rental income. We release equities on properties, we can refinance from another bank. So for those of us that have assets, properties with Barclays or any other bank, we are able to take you on at reduced interest rates, and that's part of what we offer. In our wealth management team, we have mutual funds. You can buy Eurobonds through us, execution loan services, security-backed lending, and many more. We have the staff, we have the team to help you deal with this. Thank you. So it's important when I tell you about the good things to also tell you some of the costs that you may face in buying the property. The first one is drusus. You see these guys? They flee from London. Expensively. so solicitors fees, cost of valuing the property. You might be required to put 3 months mortgage repayment with us ahead of time at closure. You have to probably insure that property every year. So, but then these are things that we can tailor around you, we can help you so that you minimize costs and you save some money. Stamp duty. Usually solicitors again have talked about stamp duty costs. But then there's a last one there that talks about cost for accountancy, how you provide us with your records, the declaration of wealth, how much you have, your properties, your assets in Nigeria or globally, and then your income, your expenditures. Why First Bank? Why First Bank UK? Why did you want to buy the property through our bank? We offer competitive interest rates. Our rates are between 67%. And we can give you loans for 15 to 25 years. So if you're 50 years old, you can 25 years old. I'm not sure all about we give you loans. Our arrangement fee is 1%. However, our minimum loan is 250,000. But you can discuss with us if you see anything that is within your range and you want the bank to help you. We're there to support and to help you. Our approval process is between 6 to 8 weeks. I say this as a guide, but last week or a month ago, we had the mortgage approval within 5 days. So we're that dynamic. Once you're ready and the paperwork is ready, we're that dynamic. We can get your approvals quickly, and that's why we're posting that relationship with Nigeria and Ford and Drusus for a very long time. We're dynamic, we're quick, we're fast, and also we're nimble. We can adapt to your needs. Thank you. The question, let me address some of these questions, and I was going to go through them because I did learn some things from them. What does London give you? There's requirement to build 100,000 new homes every year, and they have still not been able to meet that target. So they're struggling, and that improves the value of the London houses. HS2, one of the things getting mentioned, HS2 is the train line between Birmingham and London. Previously, when I got to England, Birmingham to London was about 1 hour 30 minutes, 1 hour 20, almost 2 hours journey from Birmingham to London. What they're trying to do, we cut that journey to about 40, 45 minutes. So that tells you that things are happening. London is still a place to buy, the UK is still a place to buy. Political stability is mentioned that I'm not going to the flood. But one key thing is that there's always demand supply. One of the things I picked from the list, there's always demand and supply. Your house will always be in demand. Somebody wants to buy it, somebody wants to sell their own house. There's no complexity. When you deal with people like Daniel Ford, Joseph Solicitors, First Bank, we take away the complexities of buying a house. We give you the right advice that you need, and we help you towards your goal. The bank is not there to try and get more money off you. We help people to go there well. London is accessible. It's interesting to note that Kent to London is 18 minutes by train. If your family is living in Kent and they're commuting into London, it's just 18 minutes. And that helps. But one last thing. The only currency that has a double barrel answer. But I'll go back to why we need to invest. You see, so that we don't lose the focus of why we're here. London property will serve as a store of value. So the property you buy, we have people that have bought properties under $500,000 14, 15 years ago. And they are exiting their mortgages. They are probably 60-something years old, they're selling now. And those properties that they bought $500,000, they are now 1.something. It happens in London. That's the question of wealth. Some of us in this room extremely wealthy. We've done everything we can in Africa, in Nigeria, and in some other places. And we just need to shift some of these things elsewhere and make more money. Property is a different class of asset. You can have euro bonds, you can have all these things, but then property serves as another form of assets that you can apply. It can generate income for you. So you have a child studying in London, or you want to earn in pound sterling, you can buy a property and work as hard as possible, pay off the mortgage in say 5, 7, 8, 10 years, and you start to even generate income on a monthly basis. Towards retirement. That's the goal. And lastly, it serves as an offshore wealth retirement for your retirement. I just spoke about. We're here. First Bank, I think these are my director said to you. These are our third trips to Nigeria this year. We've been to Ghana, we've been to Ivory Coast, we're everywhere in Africa, and we're still moving. It may be the last in Lagos this year, but I can guarantee that you might also see us around. We're here, my team, myself, Sean Denton is here, he's the deputy head of mortgages. We have Kenny, who has been my co-host this afternoon. We're here. We have private banking members here from Lagos, Nigeria. We're all here, we can speak to you. We can help you assess your goals, what you need to achieve. We can take all these things, we can discuss with you, we're not going anywhere. We can discuss with you. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So the next aspect of afternoon before lunch is question and answer. So we wanted to hold.
We have in our midst the group CEO of First Bank Group, Mr. Shegun Lebiosu. He would like to address us. Mr. Welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for attending our event. I'm sure the speakers will have spoken so well about UK and why you should invest in UK. I had the last presenter discussing about store of wealth and store of value. Right? Talking about store of wealth and store of value. And many of us, we agree that 10 years ago, you have a budget of 200,000 in UK. I understand from experts that some will tell me in 10 years, the price will double. some will say in 5 years, some places can double. And maybe in 15 years, the property has doubled. And the property is now 600,000 pounds. And you still have the 7,000 pounds. If you convert to Naira, and you check what you will get, and then as whatever you get as rent comes in, you can surely sit back and enjoy your wealth. I mean, you can always get it, which is quite important. If for nothing, it's for you to actually preserve your wealth and also see how the future will account for it. FBN UK, we have been in London for over 40 years, as it is the oldest Nigerian bank in the UK. We have been there for over 40 years, solid over 40 years. And we have represented Nigeria very well. One thing we can assure you is that we will give you the best services. Either you have your government account with us, either you have your mortgage account with us, or maybe you bought Eurobond through us. We will always assure you. And the good thing also is that you can also maintain your account in Nigeria and link with us. And there you can see seamless settlement, because it's possible for us to carry your account, pay your flow, you can get it, we move your money across. And when you bank with the bank, I've been here since 1890. I'm sure you do know that your money will be secured. If you see the bank has seen 2 world wars, civil war, civil strife, and still standing, you should know that you have a bank that you can sleep, wake up, sleep again, and just be assured that you have a bank. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Before lunch, we would like to take a few questions and answers. We haven't had a chance since all the speakers started, so if you do have any questions, please raise your hands and we will read. Or any comments, it doesn't have to be questions, any comments, any feedback. Does anybody have questions, comments, feedback? For Mr. Edson? Yeah.
Sorry, we've come from a long distance. I'll put you on the spot if you don't want to come up. Gio. Please, a round of applause. This is not scripted. I also, it's unusual for me to see someone else wearing a hat, so I spotted it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Colin Guido. Okay. I think what, just to say, I've been a customer of FBN UK for more than 17 years. And this whole relationship started through a very good friend here and brother, Emedu. And that was when I was looking to doing some property investment in the UK. And like he said, during the presentation, we were looking at doing some investment and that for education, that discussion and what we had done. Having to see somebody like Yemi, was just so fantastic. But the issue is that you go to a different jurisdiction where you don't know anything about the market, and meeting somebody like him, from the very first moment, you just feel that wow, I'm at the right place, because he was so knowledgeable. Everything that you needed to know about the market at that point, put everything started out today and got the phone back, and the journey with phone back from that period to now is very, very interesting. So just like what Adewale said, it's always very, they are very professional, very flexible. Even sometimes you want to do some equity relief or some other type of matter, but you still there. Everybody is willing to look at it, and things are done so fast and also, in a very simply straightforward manner. So far, it's been a very nice relationship so far with my very good friend, and we look forward to, future. Thank you.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I didn't know it before property transactions, but now his children are my children. You don't even want to know what that seed, that first discussion we had about 18 years ago. I drove into First Bank's office in working myself. And when he needed to release equity, we sit down, we get it done. The kids are okay now. I was even cracking a joke with him sometime ago that we need to adopt because you have to put the money to good use. So sorry to put you on the spot, but this is real. Having a bank that is a community bank in London has really changed the course of many people's investments and wealth trajectory. So it's an opportunity to have, look, I'm a storyteller, so since you guys are not asking questions, I'll tell you stories. In 2007, when the recession started, I was on a roadshow with a law firm in Lagos, and someone from Clarendon Lee Bank, a private bank in London, was on the panel. He whispered to me that, oh, there is a Russian that wants to buy a property in London. The Russian had paid the deposits. The deposit the Russian paid was 1.4 million. Instructed valuation, we don't. So what I'm trying to point out is people abuse the word private, private bankers. With FBN, private is private because we are talking to an individual who can, dissect the issue. And if they can do it, they tell you straight up they can do it, So that is the opportunity you have. With Nigerians, there are peculiarities. There are houses that don't have numbers. There are houses that are formal numbers. Banks do not understand that. So having a rep office in Lagos, their personnel can attend your property to verify that that is where you live. And we've been able to curate products over the years. Now is now even a lot easier because when they started, there was no blueprint, and that's one of the challenges you have as a pioneer. You have to build, and if you realize
property developer on the project. Would First Bank also finance, that kind of project, or is there a percentage of equity that the owner of the project would have to put down as a deposit to buy the land, they finance part of it, and then subsequently development.
My executive director, do you want to take the second one, or you want to take? Okay. So at the moment, Mr. Oye, we're not doing property development, but I'm not ruling it out in the next few years. Property development is not what we currently do. Buy-to-let is what we do, and we can loan you money to buy your own home, a second home in the UK. Not a problem. But we do not finance for development. But it doesn't mean that in the near future we will not engage in property financing for development purposes. So I'll let Yemi answer. I think my director wants to touch on what I said after, but I'll let Yemi answer his own problem.
Okay. In terms of anything like that, any redevelopment or reconfiguration like that, you need planning, like you rightly pointed out. Now, we've been doing this for years, and we do it the proper way. So this belongs to a client. We bought the property, saw the opportunity, put in planning, got the planning in less than 3 months, and built. We won't leave it to you. We will handle everything. We have in-house project managers for activities like this. We have architects that have been dealing with for years. And in some instances, there might be pushback. There is an acronym in the UK called NIMBYs, not in my backyard. They don't want you to enhance your property, because during the works, there's noise and all that. We will deal with it as well. Even if there's a pushback, it goes to appeal, and the UK is more receptive to the development now than ever. Shops can now be converted to residential. You'll see a lot of commercial buildings now, unpermitted land scheme turning into residential. If you just take a note of this, just do Yemi and homes under the AMA. We've been doing this for years, so we buy from the auction, convert a 1 bed to 3 beds, just cut and say, it's like a child playing with Lego, but within the rules.
So just one more question before we go out to eat, and we can. But then I think the director wants to speak on the issue.
Okay, thank you very much. I took some notes just to address the issue of the commercial development. It's unregulated in the UK. Before now, we were facing more of Nigerians, Africans wanting to buy property in the UK. So there's a different regulation for that, because that is under PTL, that is by to-let. Now, we have started financing transactions in the UK. Before now, most of the developers were UK companies, but we've also seen Nigerians that are successful property developers in Nigeria who now are coming to the UK to test the prowess. So that is something that we have noted, and we are reviewing the policies and regulations on how we can approach it. It's not going to be the normal buy-to-let financing. You bring in your 35%, we charge you interest rates, repayment fixing. No, there's a construction element to it. So there's going to be a moratorium period whereby you're not expected to pay anything. There's also going to be a capacity in terms of the technical competence, who you associate with it, who's going to be your property, construction, building, civil engineer, so many things that need to be put in place. And even when the construction is going on, we need to have like a technical consultant that will be monitoring. So that is what we are probably doing now in terms of trying to put all the package together, but we will get there. So we are aware. However, just to note, we've done different structures whereby we have seen Nigerians who have a portfolio in the UK, and they have businesses that they want to incubate in Nigeria, either for, it could be other businesses or even property businesses. And we release equity on the UK property, and they can bring it to Nigeria to come and do whatever they want. So it depends on the structure that you're looking at, but we are well aware of the commercial development of opportunity, and it's something that we are trying to put together. We haven't got there now. I mean, just a caveat, thank you very much, Bruce. We appreciate you. And to address your question, because as a Nigerian, you said something, maybe you didn't catch it. You said we like it fast. We want to move very fast, and that's the truth. Because we like to get things done, you know. But the good thing is we've had situations whereby if a solicitor is full with briefs, we have other solicitors. We actually have a panel of solicitors, right? So we can also engage you and look at your peculiarity, your situation, and be able to say, okay, maybe this solicitor is full, it is better you go with Bruce. So that is an option, and it will help a lot. Buy to lease, yes, you buy to lease. Thinking aloud is not something that we would have a problem with. Now, there are different transactions that goes beyond or behind a ordinary bank lending, whereby people are coming together as joint, owners or joint contributors. And I thought Mr. Yemede will touch on that because I know he had done something similar, but the good thing is that the bank will not get involved in all those transactions. It is strictly between yourself and those counterparties. However, our own responsibility is to provide the facility. It is good if you give us a copy of those agreements for our knowledge. However, the bank will have a charge on the title. Whoever the title owner is, whether it's joint or individual, it is that person or that entity that the bank will lend to, and the bank will have a title, a charge on that title. Now, and that is where Jules or any other solicitor will come in. They will now be the ones to advise you on how to go about the arrangements with regards to the collections, as well as the tax implication, which is very, very important. I guess we are talking about that because you also need to be careful that we kind of, cooperation we are putting in place, but the bank won't get involved in it. But I can tell you it is possible. You are given a guarantee, for 10 years lease. What the bank is interested in is the rental collection that is coming, as well as security, the preservation of our collateral security. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edie. We'll take one more question from Ms. Vivian before we proceed for lunch. The lunch table is on the right side of the hall, and if we can please reconvene here by 3:30, we can have informal chats with you during lunch, and our team of experts will be available to answer all your questions, and also formally when we're back in the hall. One more question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is, I wanted to know what the mortgage requirements are, the percentage, like the percentage rate, and if there's a minimum duration.
I'll try and go. Abraham, would you like to answer? Okay. I'll try and go over them quickly, and then I can get your email to send you more detailed information. Our mortgage tenure is 25 years up to your 75th birthday, so that would mean that if you're 50 and below, you have your 25 years, and then 51 and above, you deduct as it goes on. Interest rate is currently 6.75%. Minimum property value, £400,000, and loan to value, so meaning what the bank will contribute versus what you are expected to contribute minimum is 65-35.
meaning that your minimum contribution should be 35%. You can decide to do up to 50, 60, or 70. Okay, and then I'll get you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. So this is the point where we say time to eat. Thanks everybody. It's time to have some lunch. Thank you.
um, banking, lifestyle, wealth management, lifestyle. To that effect, just the way First Bank Nigeria UK has partnered with them before to ensure that we have quite a lot of partners that are part of the regular banking sector, to help with financial lifestyle management. So when it comes to it, I don't know which team to mention here, so I'll just keep it quiet. Sorry, but if you want to go matches in certain jurisdictions, our concert partners help you. Like Formula One partners plans to do that. We also know it's not only important to manage your we think about your health, right? See the absolute, really in this part of the world. And so for our clients, those who are not employed, who run their own business, show their lifestyle, we can provide healthcare coverage to you. In addition to that, of course, it's about mobility, so people do that. And then, of course, we recognize that our countries are multi-jurisdiction. We operate in several jurisdictions. Most times you will pay taxes at different locations. What we have done with what they do is you look at income inequality across the globe, look at where you have where you pay taxes, excess taxes. With Ghana, Nigeria has a distribution of those taxes. Now, it's not enough that we do all of these. Think about it's when you move on that. So trust comes into it. So the idea for us we provide investment solutions for you using the different fixed income mutual funds, structured loans, financial paper, all of that is included. And then how do we ensure that you transparent and what your decision? To do that, of course, we provide solutions that are trust services. So the gentleman here who is trustee the largest trust company in Nigeria. The key thing for us is to ensure that over the whole online. How do we do that? We use we showcase what it is that we have. So we engage what it is that is your investment objective. After that, the solution yes, your investment objective. And of course, once in a quarter, you review your portfolio to see that it's working in line with the objective. That's who we are. That's what we promise. And the last part of it, what we said as an introduction, is that we realize that we're not always only people. The handshake with First Bank comes in to say, look, in this country, assets and fixed income houses here. I also want to be in geography elsewhere. So that's what we need to do. The best and then go from there. I'd like to go more, but I was cut it short because I was one and 2 hours thinking about all the wonderful things. But if we just go to the slide before this, just to speak to that, to say, look, our wealth plans in Nigeria are pretty much to see across the market. And that's to say, key things that we've seen when everybody wants everybody's thinking about legacy. But there's still where there's a great wealth transfer. A lot of people here at that point. And also, migration is now, I don't know if I've seen since the world gradually migrating. But geographical mobility is very important.
Our clients have become extremely wealthy already. Due to banking, we believe that you become increasingly than you are today. Setting up offices is one of the things that people also think about. And so, of course, another factor is real estate. So, with that, so thank you very much. Still around, First Bank as well. We're currently head of private banking, that right here, and then we'll have a relationship manager. Thank you very much.
Very much, Kiki. We have to reintroduce. I'm presenting next. And I'd like to thank all the speakers who have spoken before us, shared the insights. As I said, there have been a lot of questions. So I can buy a property, I can engage juice, visitors, that is for ETC. Go to London, to go to London. One of the unique selling points of First Bank UK cultural from the person who is designing the product to the one who is selling it to the clients, you find that there are people who don't just about the UK market, also your market. And that's why we also have a rep office throughout. You have, even if you have a project, if you're open to, we have a London, the rep office in Nigeria, that looks after our Nigeria. If the rep office will help you KYC documentation. If you were to open an account in Nigeria, the documentation process would be less, I would say, would be less tedious. The UK is a different jurisdiction, and because you do not reside there, the requirements you might find daunting, but they're not. That's why you have the rep office, you have me, I have my colleagues here. There's a rep office in Lagos, another one in Abuja. We will kind of hold you throughout the process, from the process of account opening to even ongoing relationship management. We have relationship managers in the rep office, like a branch, you can talk to your cards, your statements. When I'm going to the first reaction, most times receive about these are the documents. We're required to do a lot of due diligence around the sort of ETC, and there are probably requirements, things you have probably never provided to any other firm. People want to run away from that point. And I can imagine if there was no record. The Nigerian Rep Office from one point to the other, the challenges that we face, and maybe you want to explain to someone who doesn't know the Nigerian market, for example, in KYC and reputation gathering, one challenge most of us don't have address. Now, to somebody who doesn't know the Nigerian market, why don't you have a deal? We have a rep office here that has staff that can visit your home to verify that you actually live there. We make the journey seamless and easy for you. Okay. The rep office does business on sales, calls, etc. We originate to our colleagues transactions and do the ongoing contact farmers throughout your journey. You will never, you always have somebody who can speak to you, whether you're opening an account or you are doing the periodic review, etc.
Yeah.
There's also Rep Office has expertise. Many challenges people face, with regards to effective money to learn. We don't do foreign currency exchange, but we can advise you because a lot of people don't know that they can't even in Nigeria might be able to exchange funds with family and friends. In the UK, you can't do it. The Rep Office is there to guide you in the regulatory requirements. Things that you might overlook or that actually could cause detriment to your transaction. And of course, if communicate, you can give you regular updates, you don't need to chase them. And we do have a lot of clients that can attest to that. End to end your journey. So that's why the Rep Office is dedicated the bridge between you and First Bank UK. We've had clients, many clients buy property in the UK without seeing it, without going to London at all. Mr. Edu, the lawyers, they can all attest to this. They must. First Bank, from our dedicated Rep Office to our consultants, to the lawyers, we make the journey seamless for you. If you think that you have to see your property physically, that's able to close your transactions without traveling anywhere. Yes, so these are some of the signing documents as well. Value added services. Today, our road shows, continuous support, payment. When you open an account, we've been talking about mortgages. You might want to do day-to-day payments with etc. The Rep Office is there to treat your instruction, London receives them. And our clients sits here. And my colleague reminded me that we even had a case once. Someone asked me 10 minutes ago how long it takes to open an account. I would say that depends mostly on the client, how fast you provide the documentation. If, for example, you have a transaction and we see a need to expedite, yes, we will. So we've had cases where transactions in 3 weeks, on 4 weeks. Most times there's always issues with so. Okay. As we see today, First Bank is not really committed to helping you achieve your property or UK real estate objectives. We're also committed to walking you through your wealth management journey. First Bank is find DK mentioned in this presentation. Trust. We have partners. We also work with the legal, property consultants. So thank you very much. We did say we will take other questions after lunch. I don't know if there are comments or questions for all.
Good afternoon. My name is Nick Tunnell. Thank you very much for the presentation. My question centers on whether it's possible to draw out equity from the Nigerian asset property because it's flat for you. You have that arrangement.
Not currently. We have different.
The answer is yes. is yes, but it will be done from Nigeria. Yeah. So the answer is yes. So we'll talk to our police in Nigeria, DK. So you are just looking at a on a collateral thing to testify in Nigeria. We will arrange between ourselves and do that, do the UK. So it is, yes, it's a structure. I didn't talk about also vice versa. People in the UK, whereby you can, in the UK, you can come and visit in Nigeria. We can also do the same thing. It's for us to sit down and create a structure. Thank you.
I think it's absolutely there. I'd like to ask if you currently have a First Bank Nigeria account, fantastic. How I'm able to, I think I had Jimmy said it. Yeah.
If you want to see me, are you able to go to Gambia, use banking services, go to UK and use
Okay. So because of jurisdiction restrictions, especially with regards to the switching, there's a different switching system in Nigeria, UK, in other West African countries where we have. The best way to do is to use our card. So with cards, you can draw in any jurisdiction. We have different kind of cards. We have the black card, the dollar card. That is, however, if you want to run an account in that jurisdiction, it will be easier for us to do it because you already have an account in First Bank Nigeria. We will contact First Bank Nigeria, so we will refer to the first thing we do. So adopt you, and if you have anything outside the KYC department that you already have with us in Lagos, for example, or UK, it's just for you to provide the additional. You don't need to go all through the process because we already have a documentation in Lagos. So if they need anything, there's a way we will work around because it's simple.
Any other comments or questions? Absence of any other comments, questions, I would like to introduce.
Okay, I just want to see some clarity. If I have a First Bank account, how cumbersome is it for me to go to the UK branch and open an account there? I mean, I know there are some other requirements. How?
I just want to clarify. In other words, I have an account in Nigeria, let's say and I can transfer to an account in the UK, or you open an account based on an account in Nigeria in the UK. So I can start to do business.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So the account can transit, like I said, there are different, regulation. We can't transit like that. However, because we already have a relationship in Nigeria, it is easy for us to implement whatever you want to have your account. So you have a dollar account or a domiciliary account. So from the domiciliary account go for you. However, because of AI and improvement in cloud technology, we have implemented whereby on the palm of your hand, your mobile phone, if you log on to that payment system, you'll be able to see all your accounts across the various jurisdictions. So you can decide where you want to, conduct it. So that's something that we work currently in terms of our implementing our the payment system that we run in the but the accounts can transit, it will be separate.
What's the
Thank you. So
How you guys are? How many are you?
any questions?
So I'm looking something.
Question is, let's say, US mutual in Nigeria, we intend to use that one individual that shows maybe KYC requirement, and they will pay that one to hide UK account. Is that possible or not?
Yes, sir. Let me introduce you, Bisola. So Bisola has been sitting quietly in the room, but she's our group head private banking Nigeria.
Good afternoon, sir. So to answer that question, if you have, so let's assume that it's your class. Remember that there's a CDN rule that allows money, USD, from your account to your and so you can access your and liquidate your mutual fund and transfer it whether through your account. Most likely that will be just credit your bank's account. Subsequently charge for your purpose in the UK as well. Yes.
That qualify, what sort of documentation will be required? Is it just enough to see that the dictation of the mutual fund, either by NPN or account is sufficient, or you have prove the source that investment into the mutual fund?
So you answer the question yourself, right? So we don't want where the money originated from was an illegal source, right? So to a large extent, we confirm that the money was invested in the mutual fund. All of that is impacted. But that's really what KYC is about. It's not just about this division. What entitled you to have this and how to look at it. But yes, it's part of the due diligence.
Let me add to that. Not only if it's in liquid or cash, it's not a big form of instrument, investment instruments. Some customer may say, I even want to leave it Nigeria because I'm any higher interest in Nigeria. It's possible. We used to also in Eurobond or any form of means. They will do that. I think we have all our colleagues that is here, so they can house the assets in Nigeria to continue to benefit the rates and yield on that asset. So on how we can give it, yes. Without necessarily needing to the vice versa. If it's in UK, you want to do something in Nigeria without arrangement, without necessarily, because customers will say, I don't want to deplete it. I like the way it is. I'm hearing this. So this one is that company. Thank you. This part of very big question, which might have been answered by now, the question is, how do you open an account with First Bank UK? Is it through the representative office in Nigeria, or you have to be in UK?
Yeah.
And is there a minimum deposit to account? What are the parameters?
So you can approach the records or London directly. And even if you approach London directly, you do not have to travel to London. Everything can be done virtually. However, some point in time, you will have to visit the records because you have to confirm. See physically, it's in. Oh, and there's okay, so we have two propositions, one on mortgage proposition. I mentioned earlier, if they're buying a property, on property value is £400,000. And if you're looking to invest in any of our wealth management, minimum is £250,000. Not, but if you're opening an account with us, there would be an objective for. We don't open accounts just for day-to-day banking. So, for example, you can't open an account with First Bank UK to receive funds, your payments, or to pay your debt. So, having that's how we don't do this. Remember, it's a private bank, so you have to have subscribed to one of our products. On top of that, you can deal with data. Thank you.
Thank you. I have two questions. The first one, I would like to know if the of the developer other subsidiaries too, like for Congo or it's different. And if you go through the process to get a property, does it give you access to or non-permanent visa so that you can be able to visit your properties from time to time?
I'll take the first question. First Bank UK banks clients who are residents in all First Bank footprint markets. So if you live in Ghana, in DRC, I think partnered, trying to partner with colleagues get a client onboarded. We in terms of the office, not in other First Bank markets. So most of our clients are Nigerian, but we do have footprint markets that. And on the corporate and institutional banking side, we are even very heavy in those markets. We have DRC, in my evenings, constantly traveling, Europe, so like we have those capabilities. We just don't have it. Okay. Okay. So we are present in Guinea through First Bank Guinea. So to answer your second question, we do not give any kind of immigration or residence offer residency or visa services. I do in the UK gives you access.
Just in the UK, like I said earlier, we have huge shortage of homes. So some of the islands that encourage people to invest in properties as a way to get immigration status. They need people to buy their homes. We don't have that problem. So people of you in UK, the people of you property, you know, they are investments definitely not hope.
I wouldn't know what I know. Thank you. More questions or comments? Any more questions or comments? Okay, in the absence of questions or comments, I would like to invite Onoju Ibu, Private Banking and Wealth Management UK.
Good evening, everybody, and I know you promise I don't do more than 2 minutes. My job is to say thank you. We do appreciate everyone who has come up today, who sat and listened with us, and who has also contributed. You shared your thoughts, you shared your questions, that helps us in going back and refining the best for you and with Kemi and Abraham, where are you? Okay, so Kemi and Abraham are going to. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. NC is also really grateful. We had you coming here and speak to us. That was a very good one. And so I must thank my executive director of business development, Mr. Lake. Because this morning I was all the way from London. Thank you. Now, our mission is to provide you access. And Kevin has talked about how the MRO, everyone has talked about what we do in just very good steps to talk about. There's a lot of information that we use. And extra questions you want to talk with us, so here. I think there's still drinks. I would be happy to take this from you, or queries, or just your thoughts. At the end of the day, we want to be that spend an impactful day to make the right kind of decisions. So thank you again, everyone. To look at good evening. And usually that means goodbye.